There he is, locked and loaded. 2-0, baby. 2 road games to open up the season and a 7-point win. I guess Vegas, they were onto it, but, a lot of people who bet the Dolphins came out on top today.
Yes, they did, Big O. Yes, they did. It's a huge win for the Dolphins. They did not fold when things got pretty dicey there in the fourth quarter. I think that's a really, really important takeaway that I have from this game. Jason Sanders missed 2 field goals. Belichick made the moves to keep his team in the game. Mike McDaniel was kind of uncharacteristic in that fourth quarter with that 4th and 3 after Connor Williams botched his second snap of the game. And they went for the field goal to kick the 55-yarder, excuse me. It's funny, Mike has gone for 4th and 8 before against Belichick at home. Last week we saw him go for 4th and 8 or something like that against the Chargers. So I don't know why he wouldn't take the ball or keep the ball in that instance late in the fourth quarter up, 24-17 as they were, and try to get, a little bit closer or do something there. But man, the Dolphins got away with one in New England. They almost got caught playing with their food in the second half. They won this game in the first half, 17-3, and they won it when Raheem Mostert had that 43-yard touchdown off of one play, early in that fourth quarter. But things got really dicey in that last quarter. Belichick was really great. He kept his team in it. And it's crazy how a coach can keep a team in with some calls like that when they perform it really well to perfection. Wish Mike would have went for it and not have that field goal, but I will say that the Dolphins have this, I've told you this before, they have this kind of will to win. They have this determination about them. No matter what happens in the game, they're worried about the next play. No matter how things turn, they're always turning the page and going forward. I think a lot of it came from Brian Flores when he was here, and a lot of it is stuck together with Mike McDaniel in a way that coaching turnover doesn't really help, or doesn't. You don't really see coaching turnover like that in the NFL, where something one coach brings to the table, another coach kind of takes and advances. That doesn't happen. Usually, it starts all the way from the bottom. These guys, this is a core that has played together, that is stuck together, and I think what you're seeing now with the Dolphins now is that togetherness, that cohesiveness. You get it from all the guys on defense. That's why you can depend on them in a game like this. And the guys on offense did their job as well early on, Big O.
Bro, what do you do with Van Ginkel? I mean, somebody's got to commit to this kid finally and start him because he's been like this from day one since they drafted him. Whenever they give him some time, he always does something to catch your eye. He has played a lot the last 2 weeks, and all he does is find ways to make plays. He's always around the football. He's always making plays. Man, this looks like the right scheme for him.
Somebody else, Emmanuel Ogba, just went down on the depth chart too, Big O, with that one. AVG came to play today. Jalen Phillips was out with, I believe, a back injury that he, hindered him in Friday's practice. Showed up questionable, didn't play. Patriots obviously didn't have a bunch of starting linemen. I believe both their backup tackles started. So it was a good game where you didn't need Phillips. I think Phillips probably would have went. Good for them to keep Phillips out. Van Ginkel's an absolute animal, man. He's an edge rusher. He's an outside linebacker. I can't forget the day when the Dolphins drafted Andrew Van Ginkel, and I'm at the Dolphins headquarters, and I'm like, "Who is this guy?" And now we know who this guy is, bro. Andrew Van Ginkel is probably one of my favorite Dolphins to talk to in the locker room. He's a very, very quiet guy who knows how to get after the football, man. He has the respect of all his teammates. They love playing with him. He entertained some offers or entertained some areas during this offseason before re-signing with the Dolphins, which is a huge, huge, huge deal that the Dolphins re-signed him to boast their depth. You saw him in this game, man. Let me look up the stats for you right now. Man, six tackles, I believe. He was just a menace, man. Did you see that one spin move he put on that right tackle in that second half, dude? He plays with a lot of juice, man. And look, Wilkins played pretty well. Wilkins played okay. Bradley Chubb finally stepped up. We saw Bradley Chubb a little bit more than we've seen him in some other games. And the Dolphins just kind of depended on their defense in this one, man. Look, I think this was a really good chess match between Mike and Bill. I think When we saw the beginning. When we saw the beginning of the game, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. When we saw the beginning of the game, when the Patriots were playing with three safeties up top, and they were telling the Dolphins, "You're not going to throw the ball on us." The Dolphins ran the ball, and they ran it well. When the Dolphins love to do outside, 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 they came inside with a Raheem Mostert 43-yard touchdown. So offensively and defensively, like Mike versus Bill, offense versus defense, Dolphins did pretty well. The defense, did their job against Mac Jones and the Patriots. They're not that great offensively, as we saw. The defense also stepped up because they didn't allow 200 yards rushing like they did last week too. They only had 88 yards rushing. Ramondre Stevenson
They
needed
shut
50.
him down 15 for 50, bro.
Yeah, he needed 55 and a half yards was the player prop bet. Don't ask me how I know that, but he got the under, unfortunately for some. But when you look at the run game and how they slowed them down, they really said, look, Mac Jones got to beat us with his arm. And Mac Jones, when he throws a lot, 42 passes, did pretty good, 31 completions, but 231 yards, 84.5 passer rating. Didn't do much to help them overall. So this was a good win by the Dolphins. They almost got caught playing with their food, and they didn't get caught, which is great. You got to win on the East Coast. You got to win on the West Coast. You're 2-0 without Jalen Ramsey and Teron Armstead. I mean, all the rest of the league better watch out. It's brewing here in Miami.
Yeah, dude. They're not even playing their best football yet. Like, they don't know Fangio's system yet. Fangio doesn't know all these players yet and how to use them in different packages. He's still trying to figure that shit out himself. You know what I'm saying? Eli Apple, he may be thinking, well, I got to speed up Cam here a little bit more. So there are things that are going to happen that are going, barring injury. If everybody is healthy, this team should only get better. And
Yeah.
the
Oh,
good thing
yeah.
and the good thing this week was last week they abandoned the run, and because they were dead set on passing and they were dead set on sending a signal. But this week they were dead set on running and bringing that back, and they established it early on, right from the get-go, that they were going to run the ball and have success throughout. And I think that gave the offensive line also a chance because they need a rhythm in order to do something like that.
This is exactly what you wanted to see last week, Big O. You were calling for them to run a lot last week, and told you
Yeah.
Tua was balling out, lights out last week. Raheem
Yeah.
Mostert, 18 carries, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6.7 yards per carry. Crazy. Even Savon Ahmed, 4.3 yards per carry. Only, a long 10-yard run, but it was still good. As Ukama, they tried to get him going, didn't get going at all. But when they realized it wasn't working, they kind of moved on and went to some other things.
Yeah, they
And
got
look,
cute on that first and second down where they ran and then they put themselves in a hole in that third down, and that second down was part of that. They were ready for the Azukama play on both times. They're
yes, they
like, "Yeah,
were.
we saw this on film already. You're not doing this right now on us."
Hmm.
So they were very prepared for Azukama.
That was good on the Patriots end, and it was great on the Dolphins end to know that, hey, we're gonna run the ball on you guys.
Right.
As soon as you come out and you see three safeties at the top of the field, Mike McDaniel realized that, and they started running the ball. And maybe they knew going into this game that we're going to run the ball a lot because they didn't run it last week, or just because they knew they need to slow the game down a little bit.
No,
When
and
you play the
remember,
Patriots,
the
it's not
Patriots have all the injuries on their secondary, so that's the other reson why they couldn't take
sure.
chances and to play the deep safeties because they
Hmm.
just didn't have their starting corner, so they weren't able to take chances.
On top of that, Big O, every time you play the Patriots, it's a low scoring game. You're never going to put, you not never, but you don't put up 30, 35, 36 on the Patriots often unless they
Right.
completely melt down or you're in a crazy, crazy shootout. For them to put up 24 to win 17 is good. This game should have been 30. They should have had at least probably 36 points, if you ask me. Connor Williams with 2 bad snaps in the red zone. Those are 2 touchdowns you take off the board. Jason Sanders misses 2 field goals. Who knows, 1 or 2, whatever one, but dude, that's 17 points, 20 points that I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
The Dolphins could have blew the Patriots out. They are that much better than them. And this was a good learning experience for Miami for sure, because this is a game that any other team in the league, any other rebuild situation, any other franchise would have probably lost or found a way to mess this up. Dolphins kept their poise and won this game. They're 2-0. They got the Broncos coming into town next week. The Denver doesn't look great in Sean Payton's first year. They took a bad loss to Washington. They lost 17-16 against the Raiders. They're going to come here and get the roof blown off of them. next week. We'll see how Jalen Waddle comes out. I don't think he plays next week. That hit to the head did not look good. Mike McDaniel did not have a really firm update on him because it happened so late in the game, but I would sit Jalen Waddle out in this one. You need him. He's very important to your team. No need to rush him back. Give him the week off. Get him in the protocol and keep him there. And you worried about the rest of your team here. Look at the stat sheet, Big O. Waddle had 4 catches, 86 yards. Hill 5 for 40 with the touchdown. 2 catches, River Craycraft. 3 catches, Ahmed. 2 catches, Barrios. 3 catches, Smythe. They passed the ball around, man. Tua is an arms dealer back there. They pass the ball around. They dink and dunk, and it doesn't matter who gets the ball at the right time. You're expected to make a play, and the Dolphins have guys on their teams who make positive plays, and they keep the chains moving. It's really good operation they have going so far.
All right, let me run a couple things by you that I talked about before you came on. 2 of the issues. One is Connor Williams, and I know people are going to complain, but you're kind of in a catch-22 because he's an exceptional blocker. The pocket never crumbles. So you need him anyways because he's an anchor there in that sense. So you're going to have to deal with the bad snaps and hope that they get better and hope that he gets better because you're just not going to find a center like him. Like the guy they traded to Chicago can't block. He can't block half as good as this guy. And so if some people say, oh, well, you might have used him for snapping. Yeah, but then guess what? A lot of people would have been breaking through, and that would have caused problems for Tua also. So you're kind of in a catch-22 there. But the other problem is Jason Sanders. Now, you can find other kickers. Sometimes there are people out on the street. Sometimes there's somebody on somebody's practice squad that you might want to bring in or something like that. Kicker, you might be able to work at. You might be able to find something. With Connor Williams, I think you're kind of stuck and you got to try to make the best of it. Your thoughts on those 2 things?
Sure. I'm just making sure I'm unmuted here. Look, Jason Sanders will start there. 5-year, $22 million contract that they signed a couple years ago. So he's making about more than 3.5 million right now, and he's on the hook for 3 more years. We'll see. I can do the math on that a little bit later, but not good enough, man. Not good enough. And when you look at special teams as a whole, there's kind of like a little bit of rhythm and unison that kind of works out. It's long snapper, it's punter, it's kicker, it's holder, and it's the coach. You have all 5 of those things. Sometimes a holder is your is the punter. Sometimes a backup quarterback, whatever. But it's 5 roles that have to work in unison together. And there's a lot of room for improvement. This is obviously the one for here. Jason Sanders, I think the 2 bad field goals obviously are due to what Belichick kind of schemed up though in this game. Sure, he has missed field goals in the past. Yeah, 55 yards is not really his go-to at the second kick. But when you have that player coming off the edge, and Christian Wilkins didn't even see him, I kind of criticize Christian Wilkins for this. He's asking Dolphins for money, and he has no peripheral vision of this guy coming in his way. And both times, Christian Wilkins barely didn't see the guy coming, right? But once he comes the first time, Jason Sanders, you can't avoid not seeing that in his peripheral. The way he's lining up and kicking, the guy's coming right here. So it obviously messed up the second cut. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if every team in the NFL started doing this after this game. That was incredible coaching by Belichick, an incredible way to keep the Patriots in the game and to throw Sanders off. But he's got to get over that really, really quickly. If the Dolphins are going to win this game, the Dolphins are going to – this game, this season, it's going to come down to a close game. It's going to come down to a field goal opportunity. Is Sanders your guy? That's what they need to know. And they believe he's been the guy for a while. He's just got to come together. Connor Williams, like you said.
We can't keep saying that shit.
Yeah.
We can't keep saying that shit. That's been going on for well over a year now. You can't keep saying he's not coming together. So my question to you is, if you're the Dolphins, you can't replace Connor Williams. You can forget about that. You have to fight through. Do you try to go after Sanders? Forget about the stinking cap hit. If you can find somebody better or bring somebody better in or bring somebody to compete or something, what do you do with that position?
Yeah, you got to find somebody you can add to the practice squad to kind of liven things up a little bit, maybe. I can see that's the best way. I don't think you cut the guy. Kicker is all about confidence. Kicker is all about having the right mindset. I understand where you're coming from wholeheartedly, Big O. But once you start messing with this kid's psyche, it can take a turn for the worse. And that's something that you probably don't want to play with if you're the Dolphins standpoint. But what Jason Sanders needs to know is he needs to make the kicks. They're paying him. He has job security. But if I'm the Dolphins, you definitely have to start looking if this becomes a bigger problem. Sure, it's happened in the past. Jason Sanders is like, inside 40, we're good to go. I don't want him kicking anything past 52.
Dude, last week he put the game at risk. Last week,
yes.
Extra point. He put the game at risk. I mean,
and then you don't know you don't know what's on the street either, Big O. You don't know what's on the street. It's on the street for a reason.
I get
the street for a reason.
I totally get that, but think about this. He kind of performed throughout the game, and in 2 weeks in a row, at the end of a game when you need him most, he has failed you.
Yeah.
Twice.
That's not 2 weeks, and you're lucky you're 2-0. You were lucky you're 2-0. This would be a louder issue if this was the reason you're 0-2, yes, but you got to keep working at it. Danny Crossman and that staff, they have to keep working at it. I'm sure the holder is a new holder this year because Morstead was out. This guy, Jason Sanders, always had a new holder or a new long snapper every year of his Dolphins career. So when I told you the thing about continuity and missing and things like that, it's just like a machine. If one piece out of that machine is changed or missed, it takes everybody a little bit to kind of get back on the same page. I would say with Connor Williams specifically, you mentioned the catch-22 and stuff. The Dolphins already knew this was a guy that was not a center, and they have him playing center. So, yeah, there are going to be some growing pains. I feel bad because Connor Williams kind of came in and was asking for more money, and you're not showing the reasons why you need that more money. You're not playing. Well, if you're Connor Williams, like, I'm playing a position that's not even mine, so I can understand where he's coming from. But the snapping things, it was not really much of an issue last season. Now it's become a little bit more of an issue. So, obviously you had 2 red zone opportunities that did not work. If this happens again in the future, Dolphins could lose a game. It's plain and simple. I think he's going to get that together. I think Tua needs to be a little bit better in those situations, even though it's improv all the way. Tua almost hurt his ankle in the first one. And the second one, I think I forgot what happened on the second one, but the play ultimately died.
He's shorthanding it. It's not like he's following through. It's almost like he's almost like he's dying a block.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and Tua's got to get under there, man. I actually, one year when Ryan Fitzpatrick was here, I was dying to do a story with him about putting your hand under the center and what that all meant and all that stuff. But they got to get close, man. They got to get real intimate with each other and figure this out, bro, because that could be a reason why they lose games, just like Jason Sanders could be a reason why they could lose games too.
All right, what are you working on the USA Today so folks can check you out, my friend?
Man, we got another crazy week. Week 2 was awesome. It was great to have week 1 and what it was, but I'll be at the Dolphins checking them out this week, setting up Sean Payton's trip down here. I'll probably be writing about the Broncos a little bit and see how they're doing. And just check me out on USA Today. I'll be recapping the week that was and looking ahead as well. And it's a football podcast. Episode 3 will be dropping on Tuesday. So check this out, guys. Check us out. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And by the way, use the place that the entire Alzugaray family has used, where my daughter was born, where my wife fixed her jaw, where I fixed my heart. BaptistHealth.net/ortho, the official sports medicine provider for the Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, InterMiamiCF, FIU, FAU, Orange Bowl, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, Miami Open Tennis, and the Miami Marathon, folks. Good enough for them. It's definitely good enough for you. It's definitely good enough for the Alzugaray family. Baptist Health of South Florida. And, of course, Safid Deen, sir, you have a terrific night. Thank you. Follow him on Twitter at Safid_Deen. We will talk, what is it, tomorrow or Tuesday? I don't know.
Tuesday. We'll talk Tuesday.
We'll talk Tuesday, my man. You be good out there.
See you guys. Take it easy.
That is your BaptistHealth.net/ortho Miami Dolphins report.